Welcome, everyone, to the Plein Air Easton Podcast, coming to you live.
The live Plein Air Easton Podcast.
From the Plein Air Easton headquarters in the Waterfowl Building in Easton, Maryland. This is our Wednesday. We're gearing up to the big weekend.
During Plein Air Easton, it's very easy to lose track of what day it is. So that's why Tim had to pause say, today is...
Monday was Tuesday. Yesterday was Wednesday. Today is Wednesday.
Today is the real Wednesday. And things are pretty lively here at headquarters.
What about the show, Jess? What about the paintings that have come in so far, Jess, that you're in here? What do you have to say about them?
They're beautiful.
You see them all, right? You see everything that comes in?
Well, here's the cool thing about the art being at the headquarters is just when you think that you've seen all the paintings, more paintings come in.
Yeah.
So, you think you've seen them all, and then you kind of walk around, and I'm always really caught by the beauty of them. Right. That's what Mark Shasha was talking about yesterday on the podcast, is that if a painting really is good, it should make you stop in your tracks. And if you do come to the headquarters, you should plan to spend some time here because there's so much great artwork, you will be stopping in your tracks.
There will be almost 600 freshly painted paintings in here over the weekend throughout the rest of the festival. And we invite you again, if you're close, Maryland, Delaware, Virginia, anywhere close. So, I don't think there's a better place you can be for art.
Like I said, we're actually live at the headquarters. And right now we've got a lot of our summer campers here from the Plein Air Easton Summer Camp. Can you guys make some noise if you're from the summer camp?
Right, there you go.
Fostering some young artists here at Plein Air Easton. They're creating artwork both inside and outside in the heat. I asked what their favorite medium was. I got some acrylic. I got some watercolor answers. They'll have an exhibition of their work that will happen on Friday. And throughout the weekend, there's lots of great kids' activities in town. So Plein Air Easton is not just an event for old people like me. But there are some fantastic young artists out there who are making artwork, and their art will be for sale as well. So their exhibition hall is the Avalon Theater, so that's something else people can go check out.
Sure, Mark Shasha actually brought that up yesterday. Getting the young minds involved in art is how important it is, and it's a great camp that you guys have been doing for how many, 3 or 4 years now, right?
Anna, how many years has this camp been going on? 4?
Oh, she's talking.
Yeah, 2019. Yeah, because we actually had it during the pandemic. So guys, there was a Plein Air Easton art camp that happened during the pandemic where you had to be outside in the heat and have a mask on.
Right.
I know, really bad. Anyway, we're here again.
Visit us if you can online. Again, the paintings will be coming in all weekend, and the collector's party tickets are still available. A few of those are still available for Friday night. Quick draw is Saturday, and small painting Sunday is Sunday. But right now, we are going to talk with Plein Air alumnus
Debra Huse. Yay! I'm so excited that she's here, you guys. She's a fantastic artist. She's from California. Everything about her is kind of like California.
Nice.
Were you born in California?
No.
What?
Well, first off, I love being here, and thank you for having me. This is so exciting to be back in Maryland. It's so beautiful here. Everywhere is gorgeous. I don't care about the heat. It's so beautiful. It's worth it.
Thanks.
Yeah.
Thanks.
Yeah.
So where were you born? Give me the origin story.
I'm a Midwest girl, Indianapolis, Indiana, believe it or not.
Oh, my gosh.
Yeah. So I grew up in the Midwest.
Corn-fed.
Yeah, that's right. And my mom and my grandma always took me to the museum to see the Impressionists. So I was at a very young age very impressed with all that. So,
Were your mom and your grandma, were they artists or just art lovers?
my mom was an artist, and my grandmother did beautiful sketches, so they were much appreciated, and took lessons and all that kind of stuff. And then my mom got me into lessons at 10 with a professional down the street. And that lady actually had me stretch my own canvases and paint still lifes at 10 years old.
What?
So that was cool.
So wait, was this something that you wanted to do and you were pushing your mom, or was it something that she was pushing you?
She would paint, and I'd be right next to her all the time working and painting, and yeah, I couldn't stop. So she knew I was.
So she was like, "This is your thing, girl.
Right.
Like, I'm going to give you the resources you need to make it happen."
Exactly. Yeah.
Wow.
So that's cool.
Did you hear that, guys? Stretching her own canvases at 10 years old. That's kind of crazy.
It was cool,
right?
though. I loved it. And then I had a really neat art teacher in grade school, and she was allowed to give a scholarship to 2 kids, a boy and a girl, to go to college for the summer at the Art Academy in Indianapolis. So I got to take all of these professional classes and had my own locker, but I did like figure and printing and ceramics and all this stuff. It was so wonderful.
So like a childhood surrounded by art and art education.
Exactly. Yes. Yes.
Wow.
Okay. Now, so let's go to college. I have a good story from college.
Bring it.
Okay. So I went to Indiana University, and I was in the art classes and studying graphic design and painting. And then I called my dad. I decided I was going to switch to business school.
Oh.
And so I called my dad and tell him this, thinking he'll go, great. Instead, he said, absolutely not. You're staying in art school. Yeah, so that was pretty cool. So good thing I stuck with it.
Why do you think he said that? Because he knew you?
He knew that that's what it was meant to be for me.
Why were you going to go to business school?
I love business. I have a sense of business. My dad was self-employed. My brothers have been in the restaurant business, so I was around kind of freelance business people all the time. And I just thought it was interesting, fascinating, actually, and I wanted to learn more about it. So IU is known for their business school, and I thought, God, that would be really cool to kind
But
of
was there like a
learn about
minute that made that happen? Were you having like a crisis of faith with your art, or you just
Well,
like what was
good
the
question.
Yeah, what
the
happened
language
there?
barrier. I'm like, I had to take language, and I was afraid of taking, more French or Spanish or whatever. And so I thought, well, I don't really want to take language, so I think I'll just switch to business school.
Business school felt like the cop out from art.
So funny. Well, it felt like a
funny.
new step and avoiding the language at the same time. But I ended up taking German, and I survived, and here we are.
Wow, that is
Yeah.
such an interesting story.
I know, it's so different.
And then you're in California now.
I'm in California, so I got a job. I was freelancing out of college with ad agencies as an art director.
And doing graphic design.
Graphic design, art direction, because I knew I could make money doing that. But also, when I got home from my business at freelancing and graphic design, I made myself paint from 8 to 11 every night, big painting. So I wanted to make sure I didn't lose that.
5 days a week?
Yes, I didn't want to lose that.
So that was like your second job. And
It was.
Were you represented in a gallery at that time?
I was showing at a lot of places. Indianapolis has a lot of opportunities for showing in theaters and different places like that. So I was trying to grasp on all the opportunities that were afforded to me. And then I got a job. Well, I had an offer to paint, to either go to Paris or Newport Beach for a job in art direction. And so I went to Newport Beach and I got the job and thought, well, I can always go back home.
The language thing came back up when Paris was
Yeah, I know, would have. I know, right. Well, I did study French in high school, so I would have muddled through that. But, so I went to Newport Beach, and they put, I actually was one of the few people that moved there with a job. People just migrate there.
Yeah.
And so I ended up just loving it so much. There's mountains and ocean, and I mean, there's so much to offer. Not only that, but Indianapolis felt like it was more greens and browns. And I got to California, my eyes almost popped out of my head because of all the color. I mean, there's wildflowers all year long, the ocean, the skies, the boats. I mean, I was beside myself. So there was really no tearing me out of Newport Beach after that.
You felt just totally inspired by that
yes,
landscape.
so inspired.
I want to just dial it back for 1 second. So when you were forcing yourself to basically be self-employed with a second job of painting after work every day.
Right.
What was the content in those paintings? They were studio works?
Yes, I did. I did some historic photos that I loved of the area of Indianapolis. I did some photos I took myself of downtown Indianapolis. So I did some of the historic buildings and street scenes, and I dabbled in a little ballet. I got into the ballet theater there to take pictures at Cluse Hall, and so I was just kind of exploring. And I was working in pastel, oddly enough. For 20 years, I worked in pastel.
See, this is why I love doing these podcasts, because I feel like I've known Debra for a really long time,
Yeah.
and I have no idea about
You
any
never
of this
knew
stuff.
that.
Yeah,
Right, exactly.
Yeah.
That's very cool.
It's pretty interesting because my oil technique now is based out of a lot of the techniques I learned when I was painting in pastel.
I can even, now that you're saying that, I'm seeing your oil work through a totally different lens.
Oh, interesting.
Well, because I can even see how some of your color and sort of stroke choices do sort of evoke some of that pastel. That's really interesting.
Yeah, and
there's a painting back there. Yeah.
Well, there's a lot of layering in pastel, and so I do lay down some darks, and then I lay lights on top, and so there's some different kind of techniques that I picked
Your
up from
paintings
that.
always feel very vibrant to me. You like that
thank
sort
you.
of bright.
Yes.
I feel like I can identify them because of those pops of bright color, and
Yeah.
I can see that in pastel work too. That's really interesting.
Yeah, and there's a lot of complementary color. Yeah, I'm constantly referring to the color wheel in my mind. Like if I want to show off this yellow flower, I know I need to get some purples around it. Or if I need to show off the red boat, I put some greens in the water. So I'm constantly, and I learned all that by pastel, that you have to do a lot of layering.
That's
and really.
such a cool tip right
Yeah.
there.
Yeah.
We're talking with Debra Huse at the Plein Air Easton series of alumni podcast. If you are listening at home or watching online now or watching this later, you can invite you to go to her webpage. I'm sure it's just type her name in and you'll find it. We're looking at one of her paintings. Jess, I want to ask you a question. You said something about her stroke features or whatever.
I mean, again, this is where you always call me out on things like this, and then I can't talk articulately. But I think she actually nailed it. What it was is that I think that she is really good at drawing your eye to things in her painting using complementary colors. And I would not have been able to articulate that, but she kind of fed me the answer. And I think that that's where I kind of see it's not a stroke, it's more of a pop. And like, again, you can even see that happening in this painting, like where your eyes are drawn, she's being really mindful of the complementary colors she's putting around this.
That's right.
You just got Debra's secret here. We got it out of her. This is her secret.
The reason I was kind of asking, because in the description it talks about like your use of, you're kind of like, there's a sense of fun in all of your paintings or whatever.
Yes.
I remember the one that you did on the clothesline in Tillman.
Yes.
Like it's still in my head. You know what I mean? Like
Absolutely.
Go ahead. Yeah. So, can you describe yourself?
Yeah. It's funny you brought up that clothesline because that was the most fun time I had here
It
with
looked like
my
it was
host.
fun in the painting.
I said to my host, I want to paint your clothesline. She's like, oh my God, let me tell everyone they want to put something on the clothesline. So all the kids and the grandmother even went and got stuff to put on the clothesline before
really
I started, which was fun. But I do
It was
have
especially curated.
Yeah, it
clothesline.
was. And the first one I think was called Grandmother's Underwear or something funny, silly like that. But I have a style that I call lay it down and leave it alone. And that's also from the pastel, bold strokes, confident strokes, thick paint. I try not to fuss over everything. I try to just really go for it with confidence and gusto. And, you can always take it back a little bit if you have to, but I think that's one of the important things about painting is not to lose the brush strokes and the feel of the plein air. It's so immediate. You really have
fast,
to capture things as quickly as you can, and there's no time for fussing around. So I like to see that kind of thing, and it attracts me to other people's paintings when they do that too.
Well, I'm looking at this painting here, and I don't want to talk too much about the painting because they can't really see it through the podcast. But it looks like you have which when you saw this spot here, which shade of light grabbed you, or was it all three complementing each other that you went after there?
Well, what really appealed to me about this is Legal Assets, that beautiful restaurant everybody loves to go to. But can you see that there's some shadow? So the whole building itself is in shadow.
The whole building's in shadow.
The people are in shadow, and the flag is in shadow, yet there's sunlight streaking across the front and the foreground, and then the whole background is when everybody's out there painting. There's all this, beautiful light and color in the background, but it's just to show off the focal point are the people that are kind of in the shadow.
Yeah, no, it's really, really wonderful, Debra.
Thank you.
So, you got something? Go ahead.
No, I mean, again, that sense of fun and confidence, is that something that you feel like is inside of you? Like,
Yes.
is that who you are and it's just coming out through your painting?
I think so, yeah.
And has that always been true, or is that something that you found? Like, if we go back to your early works, are they going to have that, like, I'm going to use the word light, but it is light, but it's also, it's like light in all of its terms. Like, I feel like your paintings are real. I can't think of like a sad painting you've done.
No.
Do you do sad paintings?
No, I don't.
Yeah, I don't think they come out of you.
Because I see the joy, and I want to share the joy of the color and the light.
Yeah.
And so I think that makes people love to look at paintings that give them joy. So let's do it.
Right. No, I mean, again, I feel that in her work.
Yeah, no,
Thank
I have
you.
to go back. I just remember if you're, and you always seem to win something every year, too.
Oh, thank you.
I mean, I think I remember that correctly.
Yeah, no, she's wildly talented, for sure.
I do come here with the attitude of I want to win an award. I do. And I think most everybody probably does. But I always have a plan. Oh, we talked about that one year. I usually have a plan ahead of time of what my competition pieces are going to be. so that
it's an
I'm not
interesting
just,
strategy because
Yeah.
some people don't.
Right.
The inspiration, like we were talking to Mark Shasha, and he like waits till his hand starts trembling.
Oh.
He has to like find the thing each
Yeah.
year.
Yeah.
But you are much more planned in your head.
Well, I know for a while I got to do the log canoe boats. And so that's another thing. I love boats and I'm a boater. And so it's fun for me to go out on a boat to paint a landscape.
Right, she's
I remember
totally,
that year you did
right,
that.
Yeah.
She was like doing
I did
it
that, like, 3
yesterday or
times.
something. Like, here's what I have to say is, if you, and I know it's on your Facebook, and maybe you can direct them to where you've done this, but
Yeah.
Debra is one of the only people that I've ever seen paint in plein air on a boat.
Yes.
Like, she can be out at the seas that are rocking, and
Yes.
somehow she can still like create fantastic paintings. So how the heck does that work?
Well, I'm a boater.
And you don't get
Oh,
seasick.
no, because I'm too focused on trying to get that gall darn painting and get it right, and get the light and the color. And I don't have time to worry about the boat moving because the easel and the palette's moving with me back and forth. I know. The people that take me out are really good sports because I went out to paint that Sandy Point Lighthouse, which is in the middle of the Chesapeake Bay one time, and it was rough. I didn't know
Really
how
rough.
rough it was going to be out there.
It was really rough.
That's
And I
big
had a
water there
boat full
for
of
small
people
water.
with me in a center console Boston Whaler or whatever we were in. And we had just gone swimming and had hot dogs and potato chips. And then we got out there and I thought, oh my God, everybody's going to get sick. But nobody did. And I got my painting and everybody had a blast. And so it was such an experience. I mean, wonderful. Another time I painted the log canoes and it was a quiet day. The boats were moving slowly and we just moved slowly with them. It was kind of like they weren't moving to me.
Right.
And so it wasn't like they went by and went by. We just moved along with them. And so I had much easier time. I actually got 2 paintings of the log canoes that day on the boat. It was so fun.
Well, then these people that you know that own the boat, or
Yeah.
you just asking people?
Oh, no, these are my hosts or their friends, that were kind enough to take me out.
They
Yeah.
drive you next to
They
the
make
boats
a
for 2
day out of
hours.
it. Yeah, they think it's super cool that they have the honor to take me these places to paint. And then we go bridge jumping and do other things too, and it's fun.
So what do you do when it's your first time at a competition and you don't necessarily have the picture of, ooh, when I get into Easton next
Right.
time, when I'm back in Easton, I know what my competition piece is going to be, and you're sort of like working on it in the studio in your mind. If you're at a brand new event, how does that transpire for you?
Yes, well, it's interesting because you go to these events and you're so inspired by everything because it's all brand new. Everything you just turn and go, oh, I love that. Oh, I love that. Oh, and I always make a list. I mark down, these are going to be morning paintings. These are afternoon paintings. I might want to come back here and do a nocturne. So I always have a list in my car, even when I come here. And so that I know so the night before I can make a plan, I want to go to that farm in the morning, catch the sunflowers, and things like that. So it's hard. You have to drive all around. You always think the next thing around the corner is going to be the one. And then you go around another corner. You could spend hours driving around. It's like, oh, God, I'm running out of time. And so it's stressful. It is a little bit at first. And then you kind of get a plan, and then you get going. Once you get one under your belt, you feel so much better.
I think that first painting completed that you feel good about, and or the first sale that you have when you can like break that bubble and say, okay, somebody likes me here. I think that those are like 2 points where stress is reduced for competition painters.
Well, and competition is a big word, and the artists that you have here and are just so amazing.
Right.
So then you have to fight in your mind against worrying about that because everyone's so talented. And you just have to do your thing and do the best at your thing that you can. And that's all I can say. And so but it is challenging. It's daunting. Like, oh my God, all these talented people.
Right.
Yeah.
That's, again, good advice.
Are you back as a alumnus
Yes.
this year?
Yes.
Alumnus? So
Yes.
how's it coming back as an alumnus?
It's been really fun because it's a lot less
stress.
stressful. And I had a wonderful time capturing a scene at one of the farms where the guy actually told me how to get through a field and way out on this point that I don't know
nice.
if anybody
So
found that
I'm just
spot.
going to
but-
say spoiler alert for one
Yes.
moment. I did get to see the paintings that are going to be exhibited at the Land Conservancy this evening.
6
for
to
our-
8 p.m.
Our first ever alumni invitational at the Eastern Shore Land Conservancy, where we gave select artists access to 5 different preserved properties to choose from. And like, Debra, your painting is off the hook.
Really? Thank you.
It is fantastic. fantastic.
Thank you.
I'm not
so
the judge.
excited to hear that.
I'm not the judge. I'm not saying I can't. I've got too many friends, but
maybe
like,
the 40th year you can be judge.
But Debra, you just nailed that painting. It is
Thank
absolutely gorgeous.
Now,
just
see, there's
gorgeous.
and thank you so much. But there's a thing where I've never been to that farm. I didn't have an idea. The first one I did, which you haven't seen yet, is fun. It's got flowers and a beautiful old manors on one of the properties. And then the second day, I'm out on this farm, and I wanted to paint the sunflowers because they had just started blooming, but it was 100 degrees out in that field and no shade.
It was not good judgment. It
I'm
was,
like,
it was
no.
not safe.
No,
not
this
safe.
is not a good idea. So I
Right.
kept wandering. And then when he told me how to get out to this field and out to this point, I was thinking, I need to capture the history. I need to capture some bit of gnarliness, a little bit of history, a little gritty feel. And that's what I was looking for, trying to capture. And so it took me a while to settle in. But once I had my plan, I was...
It is a breathtaking painting. Everybody should go take a look at it. There's certainly a lot of breathtaking paintings in this exhibition, but I will say with total bias that Debra Huse's painting took my breath away. It's like
Thank
really,
you.
it's
Wow.
really worth
Wow,
going to
it's
see.
right. What
Yeah.
a relief that is to me. Thank you.
it's just one lady's opinion, but I have seen a lot of plein air
Awesome.
work over,
Yes.
over the course of
Wow.
my last 20 years.
Yeah, somewhere in the neighborhood of probably like 12,000 paintings.
Yeah, exactly,
Wow.
exactly. No,
No, that's an honor that you said that. Thank you very much.
It's a really great painting, Debra. No, so you've gotten to be here and reconnect with a lot of your old friends.
Yes.
Maybe we'll talk about that a little bit. Like, when you do go to events, like, you have created some real lifelong friendships that
Yes,
are deep. It's not a
yes.
joke.
No, it's amazing. Back in the day, hi, Cindy. Back in the day before we had plein air events at all, you'd just be in your studio, you'd be by yourself, you'd look at a magazine, and you'd be, impressed with this work or that work, but you never get to meet any of these people. So the plein air has brought you not only to a new place for inspiration, new collectors for friends, new hosts for friends that become family, new teams like your team that has become total family. And then you meet all these artists that you get to go spend time with them in the evenings and shoot the breeze and find out about their areas and their styles and their ideas. And you are lifelong friends. And so you are welcome across the nation at a lot of these people's homes and studios. And we travel together often. And I mean, it's just amazing what wonderful opportunity and love it's brought to all of our lives.
Well, maybe you can talk about this. What was plein air like 20 years ago in terms of when you say I can go across the country now and stay in any house,
Right.
basically 20 years ago, not the same, I imagine.
No, because, if you were painting outdoors and doing plein air, you're outdoors and doing plein air. That's wonderful. But there wasn't always an opportunity that was focused on that niche, to show the paintings. And the first one in California, I read about it and I thought, oh, this is so cool. I want to get in on this and go paint with everyone. Then the first show was in a museum at the Orange County Museum of Art, and the paintings were for sale and they were selling. And I was like, oh my God, this is fantastic. What an opportunity this is for everyone. And it's bringing the art to the collectors in a museum setting is just really fantastic.
And what about the whole concept of getting the artists out in the public? I know that some artists don't like
Yeah.
that, but when we talk about the next generation coming up, they're all about experiences, and they want to be involved in the experience. They just
Right.
don't want to watch the movie. They
Yeah.
want to somehow be involved inside of the play somehow, or inside. Can you talk about that a little bit?
Exactly. I love it because I think being outdoors and on location is one of our jobs as an artist. Well, one is to capture history and vanishing landscapes, so that's a whole nother subject.
Yeah.
But being out on location and talking to people, people need to know that we're nice people and that it's okay to come up and ask questions and visit. I enjoy visiting with people, especially kids. They just get, their eyes are so big and they're glued to what you're doing and they can't wait to look at your palette and see what you're doing. And a lot of us will take a few minutes and let them, hold the brush or, look at the paint or see what we're doing. And I think sharing that is super important. It gets people not only to love art, but understand that, artists are not, people that you can't talk to, and they're not unapproachable. They're very friendly people.
Right.
We're actually really nice. Did you know that?
You are very nice. I think that you are also an artist. It was years ago. You had spent some time on Tillman Island, and you're not just a lover of boats, but you're kind of a lover of the history and the story of them too. You said to me, you were like, Jessica, I think that we need to do some event where like the watermen get to actually talk to the artists about what's going on.
Yes.
Talk to me about that, like intellectual curiosity or how art is used as an education tool.
Oh, it's so important, and I'm fascinated. I went out with Wade on one of the old skipjacks
Captain
and heard
Wade,
his whole story. I have interviews with him on my computer that I just recently shared at a boat show in Newport Beach. In Cuts and Case at that boatyard, same thing. There's a boat called Hotspur. You know, the captain was there, the owner. I interviewed him, the history of the boat. I want the history of the area. I want to understand. You know, the boats have such beauty, and they bring such history, and they feed people. You know, I mean, they house people, they feed people. People work on them daily, and they work hard. These people are just, have so much admiration for the whole history and all the people that do all that kind of thing. And so I like to share that because I think a lot of people really just see a boat and they don't know anything about it. So I like to bring the history, like it's at the Maritime Museum in St. Michael's. They have a beautiful historical documentary that you can see there. And so I think it's very important to share.
That's wonderful. That's wonderful. We've been talking with Debra Huse. We're going to take a quick break for just a minute. We're at the Plein Air Easton headquarters in the Waterfowl Building.
We are live at the Plein Air Easton headquarters.
Got me again.
Let's hear some noise from the Plein Air Easton headquarters. Yeah, see, live.
If you're local watching this, we'll be open. The festival runs till Sunday, the 21st, and we, I guess, are the
here's what I'd say too: is I would say that if you live in Easton or around Easton, today is a great day to come down here because we will close up this armory tomorrow to receive all of the rest of the paintings and the competition paintings as well. So this is kind of like your last chance to come and sneak peek some of the artwork before the crowds really come in. So. Come on down.
Yeah, that is right. 40 South Harrison Street in Easton. If you're in Easton, it's the Waterfowl Building. We'll be right back with more from Debra Huse in just a minute. This is the Plein Air Easton Podcast.
Now we're supposed to.
Welcome back to the Plein Air Easton Podcast.
The live Plein Air Easton Podcast.
From the Plein Air Easton headquarters here in Easton, Maryland, celebrating the 20th year of Plein Air Easton this year. And the festival runs through the 21st. We're here talking with Plein Air Easton alumni artist Debra Huse. And Debra, first of all, very good in the first segment.
Thank you. That was fun.
That was very good. You want to when the pandemic came, a lot of things went online, even acting classes. You could work with like great actors in California, New York, whatever, that you could have never gotten access to before. And I think you're kind of taking advantage of that in your painting. What are you doing online for classes?
Thank you for asking, because I had planned on trying to get online and do some classes, and I hadn't figured it out yet. And Zoom came along, and I hadn't figured it out yet. And I decided, I was just going to book some classes online and advertise them. And then I would figure out how to do it, because I was afraid if I waited, and tried to figure it out, I'd never do it.
Yeah, right.
And so we did. Lisa Skelly and I worked together, and we, by the seat of our pants, pulled together 4 different cameras and figured out how to use them. And then the neat thing is now all of a sudden you're online talking to people from all over the country that are, at that time, because of the pandemic, they were alone and they were, scared and they were bored and they were everything. So to get together and share love and share experience and share learning together was really, really fun.
Sure, yeah. I bet. And you continue to do them.
Yeah, so I have paintlikeapro.us is the website you can look at now.
That was paintlikeapro.us.
.us, yes.
Somebody look it up right now.
It's great.
Paintlikeapro.us.
What we do is we have paint-alongs. So I do this thing I call a paint-along, and for 2 hours, first you go there and you get the drawing, you get your canvas ready, and the palette layout. It's the way it's all online, tells you how to do it. Then we join on Zoom, and then I just say, okay, welcome, and let's get started, and here's how. I explain every brush, what to use and when, every stroke, where to put it and why, why it's dark, why it's light, how to keep in mind where the light is coming from. And so together with people from all across the world, I've done it with people from all over the world. One time we had 300 people from all over the world.
300 people in the class?
Yes,
wow.
yes, online.
All painting along.
All painting along for 2 hours. And at the end, we were all done with a small 6x8, but it was thick paint, rich color, and I would change and show them the palette. I would talk about the brushes.
What did you paint?
Well, we have 70 of them, so I think you better.
Was it a triangle? Was it a simple painting? Was it like
no,
2
it was
hours?
a painting.
Everybody got done.
One of my favorite ones that's on sale right now, it's called Evening Sailors. It's from Chesapeake Bay. And it's a big storm rolling in with beautiful, colorful clouds, and then a little sailboat, and some rain, and some water, and it's all in there.
So I just want to make sure I fully understand.
Yeah.
So at the end, there are 300 versions, artistic versions of the same painting.
The same thing. Yeah.
But it's through the lens and with the talent of everybody who's on there.
Yes. So they're all
different. Do you get to see them? Like at the end, does everyone put it up to their little Brady Bunch camera?
Yes.
300 cameras.
How cool
Yes,
is that?
at the end we go, if you want to stay, then go ahead and stay, and we'll come to you one at a time. So we'll go to Jessica. Jessica, what'd you do today? And then you'll hold up. Oh, I had so much fun, and this is what I learned. And they'll go, great job, Jessica. And Tim, let's see what you did today.
That's good, Tim.
Wow.
We have a blast.
Wow.
You have to join us one time. It's so fun.
I would love. I think that would be really awesome.
You
Tim.
should.
Paintlikeapro.us.
Yeah.
Yes, I would. That would be really awesome. We should definitely do that.
Yeah,
I think that would be
it's a
really
blast.
great.
Yeah, we should actually do that.
We have basic learning classes on there too. So starting with the color wheel. So you can kind of pick and choose whatever classes kind of thing you want. And then once you buy it, you have it in your library forever. So you can
go back and practice it again.
Yeah, you can go back and try it again or whatever. Take it at your own time.
Wow, that is
so some are live,
cool.
and then some are just called pause and paint, because those are recorded from before.
Sure.
70 different ones. Join us.
I feel speechless because I'm just trying to get my head around this.
Well, that's a great success.
It's been wonderful.
How much are the classes?
How much are the classes? They're $59, I think. You get 4 for $200.
Uh-huh.
Yeah, and so then they go on sale later on for like $29.
When it's recorded.
Yeah, after it's recorded.
I just think that is so absolutely Cool. Do you get people who have like signed up for a too aggressive class, or does everybody kind of get to the end with something?
Yeah, everybody gets to the end with something. Even if they're like, oh my God, I didn't know what I was doing and I was scrambling to keep up, but look at what I did. And they get really excited about it. So it's cool.
I love it.
How mixing paint?
Yeah.
What's the average person take to learn how to get colors?
Oh, yeah. That's the tricky
lifetime?
part. Yes. Well, the color wheel, I'm telling you, the color wheel is the answer because it tells you what to mix and to get what you want. So I just have to have someone show you how it works.
In other words, the shadows you're doing here, back there, that's some sort of gray or some sort of brown or some sort of whatever. It's supposed to be a shadow or whatever.
Yeah.
That seems very intimidating to me.
Yeah. Well, here's the thing, Tim. So every color has its sunlight and its shadow color. So like white in the sun might be a warm white, made with kind of a buttery color, but white in the shade is more of a lavender color. And so you have to get it darker and cooler in the shade. So part of what I teach about is how to learn to find blue in the sun, blue in the shade, red in the sun, red in the shade. Once you get an idea of how to do that, then that's how you capture the light in your paintings, and then you have more confidence because you have an idea, green in the sun versus green in the shade. So
right. And then it's a matter of getting the right amount in the mix.
Yeah.
Or whatever. And then you can put too much in, and then you just make block gray or whatever, or brown.
Right, right. But most of the time, when people turn their paintings to mud, you hear that a lot. I'm sure you've done that or
I've
heard
done
it
that.
before.
Yeah, I do it every year,
it's
once a
usually
year.
because, well, I have this F word, Tim. Pardon me, I do have an F word, and it's futz. No futzing. That's what I always tell people. If you stop yourself from painting over and over an area, you won't get mud anymore. So I'd like to teach people to learn to pick up paint, lay it on, and then don't mess with it. Don't futz it.
It's that confidence she was talking about. You have to just like do it and leave it alone.
Do it and leave it alone and get some thick paint on there. So that way your color will be cleaner and you won't be making mud because people are, they're worried and they're indecisive. They keep painting and stroking and what they're doing is making mud.
Mixing.
Yeah.
I'm gonna.
Yeah.
No mud.
I was thinking about not painting this year in the quick draw.
But now you're going to.
Now I'm gonna do it.
Oh, I wish I could set up next to you. That would be fun.
I could set up next to you.
Let's do it.
I mean, you could. I go anywhere. I'm fully mobile.
Yeah.
And I never know what I'm painting.
You host a plein air event of your own every year.
That's
you
right.
Have. Will you talk a little bit about that and the evolution there?
Yeah, that's really cool. This is about 20 years ago. I wanted to have a TV show with artists painting all over the world and have collectors come to find them and have this big art. I had this big idea.
I love that idea.
Couldn't put that together. I tried to sell it to a couple of producers and I couldn't get it going anywhere. So I thought, well, I'll just do it myself here on Balboa Island for starters. So what I did was I made a plein air passport so everyone's picture is in the passport so that people will come, the public will come get their passports. They'll go out and find our artists like Mark Shasha. They'll get to talk with Mark, get his signature in their passport, look at what he's doing, and then come into the gallery to see his wet paintings and find out where the next artist is. So now I'm interacting with the public quite a bit, and I love doing that. And then Balboa Island has its own
gallery. Is it out of your gallery?
Yeah, so it's all in the gallery. And we have lots of things just on Balboa Island. So the neat part is that it's a centralized area like Oxford or Tillman, like you guys do, where everyone can find the artist every day by bicycle, scooter, walking, whatever. And they can enjoy the process of seeing how the artist sees it from their eyes. You know, I look at this every day. I don't see that. To now, I'm going to start watching for that, you know, after they see the painting and see the process. And so it brings a lot of joy. Now we have people that come from all over the country just to vacation during that week to come see the artist and go do the whole thing. And then after they fill out their passports, then they can be entered in to win prizes. And so we try to make it super interactive, but we also sell a lot of paintings, and it makes people just so joyous. It's wonderful.
That is wonderful.
Isn't that cool?
Where do you live again?
Newport Beach, California.
What's Balboa Island?
Balboa Island is a little island in the harbor, so it's not like out in the ocean. So you just go over a little bridge onto the island, and it's super charming. It's just like downtown Oxford, really. It's adorable. And all around the island, though, is the harbor. So there's boats and boats and boats, and every Thursday night, they call it the beer can regatta. and one of the yacht clubs puts it together, and all of the artists that are in our show go out to the beach in this one location, and we wait for the sailboats to come by, and all the public comes to with their wine and snacks and hang out and watch us paint for 2 hours. It's so fun. The sun is setting, the boats are going by. I mean, talk about joy and fun. It's like a wonderful experience.
I just love it.
And how is California these days? When you talk about conservation and that's, I know it's a big thing
Yes.
everywhere. California.
Well, conservation is so important everywhere. With everything changing in the climate, and everybody needs to be protecting their ecological systems. And really, Easton is very mindful with the Eastern Shore Land Conservancy, and opening properties so that we can go paint and document, and then also inspire people, I think, to be involved in conservation and documenting the history. All those things are really important extra jobs that artists have that you really don't think about. But I take it to heart. I think it's very important to share and be a part of the movement, to inspire other people to also be a part, of the movement. So
why is it important to you? I'm not looking for the correct answer. Just you individual. Why is conservation and painting it, documenting it important to you?
Yeah, it's an opportunity, one, to maybe get onto some special properties and then to learn. So I like to ask all the rangers and people that take me onto properties, ask about the area, ask about the conservation, ask about the wilderness, the trees. On some properties, these trees only exist here. It's an endemic species, and there's endemic bugs and butterflies and birds, and it's just so interesting. And so to try to capture some of that and share that with people, even if I only do one painting, I can still share all this information. And if I find it fascinating, hopefully they'll see my joy and find it fascinating too. I think it's really important. We all, we're all in this together. We need to understand history. I think a lot of people don't really learn the history. They just go about their own, daily life. And so it's important for all of us to kind of come together in that way.
Yesterday, I talked to somebody who, a local leader here in Talbot County. She's born and raised here. She's lived here all of her life. And she said that Plein Air Easton taught her about how big the sky was in Talbot County, because she had never noticed how sort of big and flat, and she had never really taken in the sky until she started looking at the plein air painters who were coming and painting where she was, because I think we do get so focused down or focused in. Nobody
looks up in this town.
Well, but you're not sitting there and sort of taking it all in all the time. And again, it's kind of like what you were saying about on Balboa, people appreciating things differently. And it goes back to what you're saying as art as a conservation tool, is an education tool.
Yes.
Is when you're seeing these landscapes through somebody else's lens. Mm-hmm. It's actually teaching you a new way to see.
It is. It's amazing.
Can you talk about the importance of really seeing?
Seeing is interesting because it takes a while to start to see. If you go out today and you're looking at the sky and the ocean and the distant landscape for maybe a distant landmass, you start to then compare, well, which is lighter, the sky or the water? Which is darker, And today, where I'm staying, the water was actually purple. I mean, it was so purple. It was beautiful. And the distant landmass, which is usually darker, was actually lighter than the water. And then when the clouds come into play, then they reflect on the water. It changes all the coloring. Then a sailboat comes into play, and all of a sudden it's the brightest, most beautiful thing. And it's just, to take a few minutes to slow down and notice not only color, but actually is it darker or lighter than something, because that's very important in a painting. And so once you start to see that, and then, well, what color is that distant landmass? Some people say gray. Well, it's not really. Compare it to the water. Oh, it looks blue. Well, now the water looks purple and the landmass looks blue. Or, it's very interesting. And then the clouds, well, are they gray or purple or orangey or,
This gives me anxiety because I don't ever feel like I'm good with color. So she starts talking like this, and I feel like my blood pressure going up. I'm like, I don't know what color it is. I don't know.
Take my little classes and I'll walk you through it.
That's what I need to do. That's what I need to do.
No, but just take a minute to think about it. and notice. That's all. And then you'll start to see, oh, look at those clouds. They're really orangey in the evening light,
Right.
things like that. So
Right.
it's just fun. It's beauty.
No, it's wonderful to be reminded of that every year, like to really look, because again, we don't look a whole lot. What color is this room here?
Well,
I mean, I
this
see some
room-
pink up there.
I know. It's interesting because see how it's got panels that are capturing the light, and they're lighter than the walls behind it. So then you have to decide, okay, am I going to paint those with a yellowy color, or a purpley color, or a bluish color, or warm? It's very interesting to just start to see those things when you paint.
Sure. We're talking with Debra Huse. We're at the Plein Air Easton
Headquarters live.
It's Wednesday, July 17th, 16th?
It's the 17th.
17th. And Debra, I want to ask this question. I haven't gotten it right. I thought I'd messed it up 4 times enough, but I actually have a 5th time to mess this question up. And I'll just start it out by just being kind of generic with it. It's like, in the world right now, how important is it for any individual to take in art for an hour and a half for one day in their life?
I think that art heals. I mean, really, I'm not kidding. It heals your soul, it heals your mind, it calms you, it centers you, takes you away. Don't look at the TV. Take a few minutes to just enjoy some art, or doing the art really takes your mind away for hours. It can be for hours. It's so interesting. But there's been times where, maybe I haven't felt well, for instance. I go to paint and all of a sudden I'm like, oh, I feel great. I just realizing I don't, have that headache anymore, a stomach ache or whatever. And so whether you're well or sick, I would say that it just takes you away. And the appreciation of it is just such a joy that even when it's just hanging in your house, I just sit and stare. I'm staring at one of John Brandon Sills' paintings right now. It is so calming. It makes me so happy. And to get away from all the stimuli we have with our phones and social media and TV and everything, just get away from that and either do art, go look at art, go to a museum, come to a plein air event, meet the artist, be inspired and take the time to fulfill your own soul.
One of my questions that I always ask, and it goes back to not feeling well, and it's like you have such positive energy about you. Do you ever get in a rut where you don't know what to paint or you can't paint, like where you're feeling uninspired? Mark Shasha was like, no, that's never happened to me. And I was like, are you human? But apparently he's not, is what we found out.
Oh,
he's
yes,
not
okay.
superhuman.
Yeah.
Superhuman. But like, do you ever sort of feel like, ugh, I'm down, or I'm physically not well, and like, how do you get on the other side of that?
Yeah, that's really interesting. Also, when you have a bunch of paintings due for a show maybe, and you don't know what to paint, and you want all of them to be fabulous, where do you start? I mean, you can completely overwhelm yourself and upset yourself that way too. So you just have to start with one thing that you like, and get going. So once, it's so funny because people always say, oh, do you just paint when you're inspired? I'm like, no, I have a lot of deadlines.
It's a job,
This
right.
is my, way I make my income, and so I need to just get myself started. So I talk to myself all the time, Debra, just start. Or you're on a painting, you're not sure what to do next. I go, Debra, just go to your focal point and work out from there. Take your time. And then all of a sudden you get so involved again, you just escape. It's a total escape into, creating beauty and trying a stroke or trying a color. And all of a sudden it starts to come together and you're like, oh, nice. Now now I want to move on to this one. I try to work on 4 or 5 at a time. So when I'm not sure with this one what to do next, I'll move to the next painting and work on the sky. Have some fun with that or something. And so there's a lot of self-talk, I think, little kicking your butt sometimes. And
it just seems like it's I don't want to turn anybody off to it, but it seems like it's a very hard and very much a do-it-yourself profession. I mean, you.
It's true, yeah. You can't just sit around and wait for being discovered, kind of like an actor. The actors work very hard and artists work very hard. And if you want to move into that field and use it as a profession and grow, you have to constantly be reaching out and putting yourself out there, kind of, getting past any fears that you have, and just knowing that that's part of the deal, and you can't let things upset you or worry you if you don't get a show or whatever. All of it is an opportunity to move forward and move kind of up the ladder. So the more you create, the better you get, more opportunities come your way, but we work very hard. You have to really be on top of it all the time. Keep out there.
Right.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Do you? What's the longest you've gone without painting?
Oh, wow. Gosh, that's a good question. Because you know what? Sometimes I get stuck on the computer doing a million entries.
Running your actual business.
Paperwork.
Running a business.
I mean, so you're talking a matter of hours. Is that what you're talking
hours. Well, it can be days sometimes, trying to just get things in order. And then also you need downtime. Like I love to go out in the garden and work where I have a lot of orchids out in my garden, and I love to just check on everybody and make sure they're doing okay. And that's another way to kind of take my mind and free my mind. And then it's like, now it's time to get back to work. So.
How much of your work right now is studio work versus actually in plein air?
That's interesting. It's probably about half and half, really.
And has that barometer changed over time, or has it always kind of been about half and half?
Well, before I got into I didn't know what plein air was in the beginning.
Then right.
Then it was all studio work.
Right.
And
sure.
then it's like going outside to paint. Oh, I did that college. That sounds like fun. I want to do that. And there's a whole learning curve once you start doing that. But now, the plein air events inspire you to try to capture something. Then you want to take that now in the studio, spend more time.
And work it.
More time with it, yeah.
Are most of your studio paintings then from plein air sketches that you've done at events or outside? Is the origin story for most of your studio work plein air work?
Yes, and then the photos too. So I did this in plein air. I captured the light and the feel and the coloring, which I want to remember as I transcribe it to a bigger painting.
And here are my reference photographs.
Yeah, and here are my photographs. So now I can add pieces. Another thing that artists do and need to do is to always remember, we're not there to copy. We're there to capture the feeling and the impression of an area. So if that tree is in the wrong place, or it's not tall enough, or that mountain's in the wrong place, or, you are there to capture the beauty of an impression that you feel. And so then you have to choose and design. You have to totally design your elements before you start. And so there's a lot of things to consider in a painting.
This is a really tactical question. When you're looking at those reference photographs, are they on your phone? Do you have a TV screen, or do you print them out? What does your studio look like from a setup standpoint with that information?
Oh, fun. Okay, well, first off, my studio is in a boatyard. And it's really...
of course it is.
Yeah, I know.
She's a boater.
My husband and I do have a sport fishing boat, and at that marina are some garages for the guys to have their fishing gear and beer and dinghies and all whatever else is in there. And boy, when I got an opportunity to grab one of those garages and turn it into my studio, I was so thrilled to be in the boatyard, in the harbor and the marina. So I do only have a garage. So I don't have room for any easels, because it's just things that get in the way. And that's how I used to work in my apartment actually too beforehand. But I put all my canvases right on the wall. I screw them into the wall, and so I can work easily in there. And then I use my computer. And so I have it on a little pedestal, and I can flip through pictures. But once I get a design going, then I'm starting to work more in a painter's mind, like lights and darks, values and color. And then sometimes I'll do little color sketches. Do I want it to have an evening light, or do I want blue sky, or do I want orange colors? So there's a lot of things to think about. So my wall in my studio is covered with brush strokes, because maybe I'm too lazy to clean my brush. So I just get the paint off on the wall, so I can grab some more color and keep going on my painting. Or I'll mix a color on the palette, and I'll check to see if it's a similar color that I want. I'm and that's not even close, so you have to go back, So my whole wall behind my paintings is covered with all sorts of brushwork, little color studies, little sample paintings all over the wall. So it's pretty fun to see that kind of stuff.
You maybe have to send us a photograph of
Yeah,
that so that we can post it with the podcast.
Yeah.
We need, that's the only drawback to podcasts.
Yeah. Do you know that at the
photos.
Home Depot they have those big carts for tools? That's what I put all my paint in.
Gotcha.
And then I put glass on the top so I can roll the palette back and forth and work on each painting as I'm working in my studio. So that's really handy.
Fantastic. I have a vision for it right now.
Deborah, how many years have you been coming to Plein Air Easton?
I haven't actually counted, but I'd say
A lot.
like 15 maybe.
Yeah.
14 or 15.
What have you seen in the? So we're doing 20 years. What have you seen as from the the festival, the organization behind it, that sort of thing, as over the 15 years?
Well, there's been a lot of wonderful changes, like getting this armory was
Right.
such a wonderful addition instead of having just the Academy of Art Museum, which is so beautiful. Oh my gosh. To think that you guys got both of these are just, it's so wonderful. And the setup of everything has become more and more refined, and professional. But what I love about you guys as a team is that you're still all a family together, and we get to come back and see you all, because I kind of feel like we're all a part of the same family. And so it's been fun to see how the changes have emerged, and it's all been really good. You haven't lost the pain out, It's very inclusive for everyone. You have the kids' day. Now you have the kids' camp. I mean, so it's really wonderful how you really share with everybody. It's awesome.
Thank you. Deborah, sunrise or sunset?
Sunset.
What is the best sandwich?
Roast beef and Swiss. With sprouts.
She has to say sprouts because of the California thing.
Yeah, I know. That's true.
Nobody else wants sprouts.
That's
is
so
what I
funny.
have to say. Nobody.
That's hilarious. What else?
Apples or oranges?
Apples.
Dogs or cats?
Oh, I have both. I love pets.
Dogs or cats?
Don't make her choose.
I
That's
can't.
totally unfair.
I can't.
It's the game.
I have a standard poodle that I love more than anything, and then I have 2 calico kitties that are like precious. So I can't do it, Tim.
Love more than anything versus precious. Okay, gotcha. Window or aisle?
Aisle. Want my
How
freedom.
come?
Yeah, I
freedom,
want to be able to get up and move around if I want to.
And when St. Peter sees you at the pearly gates, what do you hope he says?
Welcome. I have a glass of Chardonnay waiting for you. Come on in.
I hope you brought your brushes.
Yeah. I want to learn to paint.
We've been speaking with Debra Huse from the Plein Air Easton headquarters live in the Waterfowl Building in Easton, Maryland.
Check out her annual painting event on Balboa Island. What month is that in?
It's called Just Plain Fun.
Just plain fun. 'Cause
Yes.
that's kind of like the theme of talking to Deborah is
Yes,
always just plain
true.
fun.
Yeah,
True.
it's been wonderful.
The name of the gallery is Huse Skelly Gallery, and the spelling is HUSESKELLY, gallery.com.
Awesome.
Check that out.
And really check out her paint along educational
Paint Like a Pro.
videos. Paint like a pro.
.us.
.us. Like we're gonna check it out.
Yeah.
We're gonna do something where Tim paints like a pro and we film
Gotta
it.
learn.
I'm gonna
after
make
20
sure.
years.
We're gonna do something with this because
Yes.
this is a great idea and
It's a blast.
I want to. Tim has wanted to get some more painting education for a long time. For his birthday 2 years ago, I bought him a bunch of paints,
Right. And
brushes,
then,
and all sorts of stuff.
And they're loaded up, ready to go. So
Loaded up,
Maybe
ready
we
to
should
go. A paint
next
along.
year. Maybe we should do a paint along, and let people come and paint along with me for 2
New
hours.
ideas coming here live right now in the very inspiring Armory building, our Plein Air Easton headquarters for our 20th year. Come on down. Like I said, today is the sort of last day to sneak peek before we close for one day and reopen on Friday with hundreds of fresh oil paintings and lots of watercolors this year. Lots. The watercolor field is fierce this year. There's a lot of really great watercolorists here as well.
the Eastern Shore Land Conservancy opens tonight. The exhibit and sale opens tonight.
Definitely check out Deborah's painting there. for
And
sure.
where's that located exactly?
114 South Washington Street.
Yeah,
Right
join
around the
us.
corner. It's going to be fantastic. Thank you guys for tuning in, Deborah. It's so good to see you. You were like the uplifting spirit that I needed today. So thanks for being
Nice.
here.
I love you guys.
Any
Thanks for
final,
having
any
me.
final thoughts, Deborah?
I'm just thrilled to be here, and thank you all so much. And everybody, go out, get yourself a paintbrush, little paint, give it a go.
she's going to have a demo here on this stage later this afternoon
That's
as
right.
well.
Oh, that's
so,
right.
Right. So come back and check it out. Is that at 2?
I'm going to paint boats at 3
hers is
o'clock.
at 3 o'clock.
Boats at 3 o'clock.
Yeah.
Be here or be square.
Be there too.
Thanks, everybody.
This has been
Can't
the Plein Air
wait. Thank
Easton-
you.
This has been the Plein Air Easton Podcast. Thank you very much.